One of the things that I've noticed with the red pill community, if you will, and all other names you want to give it, is a lot of times are more conservative minded people. And a lot of times, such people look to the past. They don't talk too much about the future, or if they do, it's a very dystopic future that they talk about. I want to talk about like a more utopic version of a future that is possible, provided that people integrate with reality. If people look towards rationality, if people if we can get this tyrannical government off our backs, if we didn't have these institutions acting like leeches on people, the very people who produce everything that we have. If we didn't have that, if we can overthrow that, the future could look really good. You got to remember, it's not governments, it's not institutions by themselves that produce wealth. It's people that produce wealth. It's what comes out of this with smart, hardworking, productive people. Okay, so you take somebody like an Elon Musk. Now, I know there's criticism about him. I understand he's not perfect, but look at what he's done. He has his whole car brand. It's a successful, electric car, that he produces. He runs a social media company, and he does a lot of other things. He's, sending rockets out in space, satellites in space. What it would look like is people would be more competitive. People would strive to be better. They would be moralized. They would seek the advantages of their labor. It's not that they're working because they have to. They do it because they want to, because they're trying to strive for something much better. They'd be more moralized. In other words, they'd feel better about their work because they would actually get rewarded. You wouldn't have all these taxes, regulations, and inflation, not to mention all these irrational people doing stupid things like, people wouldn't try to be fraudulent or stealing or anything like that. You would actually be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Currently, we really don't. We're working to live. Things are getting more expensive. We have to work harder. Imagine a world where you don't have to keep working harder and harder and harder. Imagine that if you work, you actually build equity. You have things that you can actually show for it, right? So people would be more moralized. People would be like, absolutely, I would work this much, because they know that if they, work a certain amount, that they are rewarded. They would have, they'd be able to own property. They would be able to, start the kind of business that they want, or, live as comfortable as they want to be in exchange for their labor. People would be, like I said, moralized. You wouldn't have, workplace drama. You wouldn't have, problems like all these problems of poverty that we have. People would be more mentally healthy in a situation. You wouldn't have drug addiction as bad as you have now. You wouldn't have other forms of mental illness. People wouldn't be so stressed out. They wouldn't be so much full of anxiety. People would be looking for ways to explore, to expand. People would be looking for a way to get to the moon and claiming land on the moon, just like the pioneers did when they claimed land out west. They could do that with Mars. They could do that with Jupiter's moons, Saturn moons, etc. The sky's the limit. You can have life extension. Maybe you want to live an extra couple hundred years longer than what you do now. Maybe you could do so in the body of a 20-year-old, so you would never have the illnesses that come with aging. That's being worked on right now. Now imagine if you remove the government regulations, the FDA, for example, which really serves more to hinder development more than anything. It's a sort of this overbearing institution or set of institutions. And that, by the way, is the problem with the left. They really trust these institutions, and it's like they have a blind spot. They don't realize just how tyrannical it is to them and how much better their lives would be without them. But anyway, um, the point is that it's a vision of the future. It's a positive vision of the future of what could happen if we could get rid of these institutions. If we had, by default, you would have a free market. You can't. People wouldn't be able to enjoy the fruits of their labor if you had, a form of socialism. We've seen this repeatedly already. The closest thing to laissez-faire capitalism is America in the late 19th century. Of course, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't 100% capitalist either, because there was some government intervention. But we had, up till then, unprecedented growth. You had, a lot of the inventions that you enjoy now, electricity. You had, like communications, like telephones, that was invented at that time. Internal combustion engines, that's used for travel, things like that. So anyway, just some food for thought. I want to get people thinking. Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about what could be instead of, what was. So, anyway, that's my take on it.